In the military, they have these things called creeds. In the Army, it's called a soldier's creed. And what a creed is, in essence, it's taking you as an individual and telling you how you are supposed to act and conduct yourself in that particular service. That's what a creed does. In the Army, the most important line in that creed is, I will never leave a fallen comrade.
Not even in the dark, you gotta go find it.
I'll say that again. I will never leave a fallen comrade. And if you look at the events that are going on right now in Afghanistan, how important that is, because I'm gonna tell you, every soldier, airman, sailor, or Marine right now is saying to the President of the United States, do not leave any of our brothers behind. They're telling you that right now, because it's just that important. From the minute you join the military, and I'm speaking from the Army perspective because I'm a soldier, you are taught right from the beginning that you're never to leave a fallen comrade. And that stems from when you do your physical fitness runs. If somebody falls behind, you turn around and you go get it. And it definitely applies to combat. If somebody should be wounded or killed, you make sure you take that person off the battlefield. Well, the story I'm going to tell you about happened to me while I was in Iraq. In 2005, I was sent to Baumholder, Germany, as part of the 1st Battalion, 6th Infantry. While I was there, when I first got there, I was assigned as the S2, which in military terms, that's intelligence. I was assigned to be the intelligence NCOIC. There started being heard rumors that the first sergeant of Alpha Company was going to be relieved. And so somebody was going to have to take his place. So in this case, there were 3 of us who were E8s that were eligible to take that position. We got interviewed, and this is not the type of interview where you say, I want to interview, I want this job. This is that interview where you're voluntold you're going to interview and we'll see if we want you. Well, about 3 weeks after the interview, I started hearing rumors. The first one was that Sergeant Ruff was going to be the S3. He was one of the 3. The second one was that Sergeant Daniels was going to be the S2. So that just left me. And so I went to the Sergeant Major and I said, Sergeant Major, so I heard Ruff is going here, Daniels going here. So that means you must be planning on making me the first son of Alpha Company. And he laughed. And I want you to imagine Sergeant Major Iyer. Rhonda, could you stand up for me? Sergeant Major Iyer is about Rhonda's height. Actually, he was probably shorter. and so when I go to, you can sit there. When I go to him and start talking to him, he starts laughing at me. And he says, you know what this means? Because we were in preparation to go to Iraq. And the unit I was in was separated from Alpha Company because Alpha Company had a different timeline. Well, the unit I was in, we were going through 2 months of training in the field. And we were about to come in on Friday. And this was about Wednesday, and the Sergeant Major says, so you know what that means? I said, yeah, that means when we get in Friday, I got to repack my stuff to go back out Sunday for 2 more months. And so that's what I had to do. But when I first got to Alpha Company, the very first thing that I told them was how important each and every one of them was. There was 157 of us. And I told them I wanted to bring all 157 home if possible. Now I knew where we were going in Iraq, so the likelihood of me bringing everybody home safely was 0. Where we were, we fought every day. We had firefights, we got mortared, we hit IEDs every single day. But my men knew that I preached that we were never going to leave anybody behind. Several days go through, and this is happening all the time. The one day I want to bring you particular attention to is November 26th. And the reason I say this day is because for me, in the 26 years of my military service, was probably the proudest day I ever had in the service. And on this day, we were sending out a counter-mortar patrol to try to discourage the Iraqis, the insurgents from firing mortars on us, because we got fired mortars every day, and that's where we probably got most of our casualties. So the counter-mortar patrol is out. The lead vehicle hits an IED. The IED is 2,000 pounds. It is so strong, so explosive, it actually flips the Bradley vehicle. The Bradley vehicle was a 27-ton plus vehicle. So you can imagine the force that it took to flip that vehicle. The driver on the vehicle took the major part of the blast. He lost his life instantly. His body was blown everywhere. As soon as the smoke cleared, those that were in the vehicle started taking fire from every direction. We got the call and I came out with the QRF. When we got there, we were able to get the remaining people in the track to safety and get the wounded evacuated. As I always did, I always stayed with the people in contact. I made the call at that moment that we were going to make sure we recovered all of Lonnie's body. Every single piece, every toe, every finger, every arm, every leg. We were going to make sure we recovered this whole entire body. We fought 9 hours to recover this young man's body. And why is this important? Because when I talk about accountability, I talked about being answering to someone. When I took those 157 young men to Iraq, I became their parent, answering to their parents at home. I had made a promise to myself that if I had lost anybody, that I was going to see their parents when I got home. So about 6 months later, once I got home, and you already told them I'm from Birmingham, Alabama, Lonnie's parents were from Hartselle, Alabama. So I get home, I give them a call and tell them I want to come see them, tell them the story about their son. So I get to their house, and they're very nice. I mean, they're telling me the stories that their son has told them, telling me the stories that their son has told them about me, tell me about their son, show me his room. They didn't change anything. They left everything the way it was, okay? And then, probably about an hour into the visit, his father says, let's go for a walk. We take a walk down the street. It's about a quarter of a mile. We stop. He says, First Sergeant, I gotta ask you a question. And you know, I'm like, okay, what could he ask me? And the question he asked me, he says, I know you know we had a closed casket funeral. We were never able to look in that casket to see and say goodbye to my son. And I said, yes, I know that. And he said, what did I bury? And he said it twice. He said, what did I bury? And I was able to tell him the story about that day, how his brothers fought 9 hours to recover his body, every single piece. And believe me, when I say for every single piece, I literally assembled his body to make sure we had everything before we left the battlefield. And I was able to tell him, you buried your son, all of them. And you know, we hugged and we cried, and we probably cried hugging for about 30 minutes. But what I'm trying to tell you is, we can advocate all we want for different things. But that advocation has to turn into action. When we say we're going to do something for our community, we have to do it. We have to hold ourselves accountable. And we have to answer to our community for the things that we do. So we make sure that everybody knows right from the get-go that number one, my avocation says I care, but my action says I'm holding myself accountable for the things that I do for this community.